Hello, this is going to be Singularity.net Ambassador Program Treasury Operation session. And today I will be recording the whole session and kind of give you some explanations, what I'm doing, why I'm doing, and going through the whole process. And also at the same time, also looking at our old documentation, because later this material will be used to update the documentation itself. First thing, which I would start with, is showing a bit of documentation itself. So, this is our Swarm Treasury Manager my report. It's started 2022 or so, and we just been ever since updating that. So it's a bit messy, but on the left top corner, there are two main stuff that we're gonna showcase today. One is this upper corner setup and permissions. In our case, we're not gonna demonstrate through all of the setup process, but everything once it's set up will lead to this kind of Treasury Guild transaction process document. And this is our process that we will go through today. It also has our previous videos. But today, with today's date, we will be adding another YouTube video that I'm just doing right now. Yeah, some things to kind of consider, like here are taxonomy about the color coding in the document itself, which shows the button colors. Now the button colors have changed again. I will go over it just in short. However, the Excel column are still colored in the same kind of logic, and so that there is no change in that. So right now I'm going to put that document aside. But zooming out on the motherboard, second thing I'm going to show here is this Excel overview. We have been doing Excel overview videos a few times, so if you're interested how have we been evolving, you can see the previous stuff, but today is going to be another video for this new version. Essentially, this structure remains very similar. So at the button color coding now is that the yellow ones are data source management tools. So importing, exporting, and some external resource like imports from other APIs. White ones are supporting tools. Here we have that button to open GitHub, a button to change mode of working. And there are some hidden buttons here about like label options, a link to open proof link. So instead of double clicking, highlighting, double clicking, now you just can select the cell and click that attach point calculator. And you will find like other similar buttons on other pages too. Red buttons usually are data deleting functions. So clearly highlighting tools that if you press that, it may remove the information you are working with, and you may have to start again. So be careful clicking these ones. Filtering and automated data aided functions are the purple ones. So usually Excel, you have this selected column or selected columns that you want to filter. Here we have clear button that just resets everything and or navigates to a different sheet, filtering the necessary information based on the logic behind the button. Then configuration related tools. So these are all the orange buttons. They're also sometimes regarding like filtering, but they're very focused on configuration sheet, or we have like multiple configuration sheets where you have something we are like something that automates our work in general. And the green ones, functions to make data changes in the Treasury Manager Excel. So you have the key like buttons, update context, register wallets, update contributions. So the main outputs we want to press based on whatever input we have. And then the blue ones functions to make data changes in the Treasury database. So currently we have only one insert recognitions, but that's more like a testing, so we're not gonna use it. But there is probably in the future we want the Excel to be client-sided, or well, future wants to be that we are not even using Excel at all. But for quick prototyping, it's been a very good tool. And like Excel sheet tabs also have color coding. White ones are like hidden or supporting sheets or new sheet tools. So global variables, this looks like that. This is like an auto-generated or semi-generated list of all the locations where the tables start and the columns, and that's information for the data sources. Then the green ones are main data transformation sheets. So basically the main tools we're using, for example, insert contribution where we insert contributions, bundle transactions where we generate bundle transactions, and insert participation where we insert participation. And we at first we had them at the same thing, like insert recognition, but there was a clear need of different tooling for improving participation import, which now includes all kinds of integrations, and it's a contribution just making sure that it works with the GitHub and Twork and any other like tool like clock, or what is that? Like timesheet, time of tools and Excel sheets and forms. And orange ones are again configurations. So across we try to be the same color coding as same buttons. And the blue ones are then data tables. So not all of our data is in databases. So the Excel also acts as a database. So essentially that's the main overview of the main tool we're using. We also have the bundle transaction sheet, which is slightly changed. So when we get to it, I will share also the new updates on while we're at it. And yeah, you can see participation, collaboration rewards. So these are like the temporary database sheet. Also has a bit of like tooling now, creating reports, changing labels across the different sheets, so we don't have to manually sorting options. The import participation tooling here shows the the Zoom integration, loading there, or taking from export files, and a bit of like automated configuration into which kind of in which kind of meeting these participations are allocated, and also includes a bit of reporting information for quarterly reports. And configuration sheet, which then holds all kinds of different tables that automate our work in these tools, basically these green worksheets, and a bit of overview links and some general links that are important for setting up the Excel itself. So that's the overview part. And I'm gonna now go into the Excel itself. Yeah, this was kind of the idea that this is going to be like a temporary one public meeting, just to kind of make a recording of what has updated. And in this call, I'm also going to use and explain more what I'm doing, where previously we kind of just went through the stuff. Because the recording material will be used for like demonstrating and like bringing people up to date. And later, I think in Treasury automation work group, we agreed, at least Sork agreed to also update the step-by-step process. And that's why I'm also recording this video so that you can follow it. And this is the document we're gonna go through. And not every step of the way, but every now and then I will give an opportunity to kind of share your opinion or like ask questions, and then we can discuss them. Yeah, so now moving to the Excel manager itself. And there is a new homepage now, where I basically brought all the sheets in one place. So the contribution management stuff are in this green area: insert contribution, insert participation, bundle transaction, calculate core contributors, and participation reward calculation. So today we are only going to use these first three of these tools, and the two second ones are more specialized tools for workgroup management or ambassador program, core contributor calculation. The data tables are the tables that are inside the Excel sheet. What we have here is the contributions themselves that we import, and it's these kind of like relational databases about task labels, contacts, wallets, token distributions. Other tools, these are something that are just kind of made and or experimented with. For example, workgroup info was initially Treasury Operations Workgroup, like website itself, where we had like rotational facilitation, and also related to that, how do we reward it, like a custom rewarding for the workgroup itself, and all the rules and engagements there. Voting weight optimizer was a test scenario to kind of make, when we vote right now, it's like a consent based, but there was like an option that, hey, if you want to have weight for your vote, then we can use task labels or the contributions that people do to different work groups, manipulate your strength of a weight. And then also there is a tooling for knowledge-based workgroup here, that two sheets of that. And finally, the configuration stuff. The conf page is itself is the main stuff where all of these automations are described. Roles is another one that describes, in token conf is another configuration, but more focused on like the token policies and what we are using and allowing to use in our treasury. And also treasury fee is also calculated from that configuration. And the final sheet, global variables, is more like a developer sheet which I showed you on the Mara board, where all the list of all the column names and locations were written out in a sheet form. So right now, the big treasury operations, the slide process has slightly changed. So we start with insert participation. And in here, the flow is quite simple. I start with the start new dates, and this will set up from the reporting mechanism the last time I kind of updated the sheet. I also usually note down the date. This is 13/20 or 21 when we start this process, because right now I'm also going through the process of measuring how long this importing takes, and that's kind of sets the cost of the service itself for the ambassador program. Then I load the sessions. It's integrated with the Zoom API, and it will list everybody who is using Zoom, their work groups when they have it, and then simply start from the bottom up. Okay, marketing guild, I load session, and it should load all the participants on this right side. Here, everything is green. There is some highlights on the yellow ones, so I do remove if the meeting is like more than 60 minutes. If everybody is under 50 minutes, we don't really consider him participating in the meeting call, so I remove them. And Zoom API is not that great actually. It is omitting critical information. So there are situations where you can see there is like a Lord Kizzy suggested 60 minutes. In these cases, I have to manually go to the Zoom dashboard and look at the actual, like what went wrong there. Because there is sometimes our configuration overrides some of the potential stuff. So yeah, not everything is still automated, unfortunately, but it's still better. So marketing guild is here. Let's see, show unique users. So it should have, so the ambassador account user was Ayo. and Onyeka was a separate user. So technically here, 63 minutes here was actually IO. So now I know, I close this and I copy paste one of that I need to copy paste now. So I'm gonna just make this. It was like a 60 minutes. And yeah, let's just put 63 minutes, even though it probably wasn't 63 minutes because it also includes the time it's in the waiting list. Technically for him it wasn't. And now I need to find Io's name here. Kind of forgotten his name, so I'm gonna just put Io and see if I can find participant by that. Yeah, in future features, I guess I should include something that I only highlight a specific participant I want to share. Okay, so it found it, Olu Iola is the one, but it also deleted all the mins. So I'm gonna write that on top here and load session again to get my participants back. And removing the delete participant. This one, or actually what I can do is I can copy this one here and put here 63 and something 60 here. And then insert meeting. Already the meeting date is correctly picked. The task name is picked. And that was the first import. Next one. Right, there's the group. Here it suggests Kenichi, Korga, 4 people, 53 minutes. Just in case, because it again looks like there is a double here, I need to again see what is the double amount here. So it was writers workgroup. And now we're in the situation where somebody who is ambassador program member logged in as ambassador. However, I'm not able to tell who it is because they didn't change their ambassador name. And in these cases, what I usually do is, okay, I have this. We know that at least usually one of them is Kenichi, and that's based on previous history. So every time I insert meeting, it kind of updates the configuration, kind of assumes who are usually the ones that are behind the ambassador program in this specific workgroup. So right now, one person behind the ambassador program is not being recognized. But in general, we are gonna then insert meeting because I'm here not to investigate or figure out who it was. But yeah, usually I just complain, hey, we forgot to change your name, I didn't know, and then you get discarded. Or statistically choosing who could it be. Moving on, knowledge base workgroup. This one we will skip because I already have imported knowledge base. This is my workgroup. Another one, governance workgroup. Again, similar potential here. The 2 hours here is the time. Ashley, only 6 minutes, removing that. And let's check what's up with the governance workgroup. So Peter was one, Vani joined at 61 minutes. And then Stefan QLDAO. Okay, so here was the situation where like 2 different QLDAO users joined and it was not able to differentiate that. So what we can do is again, yeah, and another issue is like if we don't have registration in Zoom, then you can see there is no email addresses like populated, and then based on the name itself people are using, it wasn't really possible. And most likely both the Stefan and Kyle use the same ambassador account. And that's why, not ambassador, but their own Zoom account. So yeah, these are like downsides of decentralized people. Again. Okay, so I know it's gonna take time, so I'm just gonna write Stefan here, the one row, find participants, see if I can get the correct name, a cult, put that in top corner here, load session again. And I just kind of split it into two, one from Kelly and one from Stefan. 60 minutes. And it takes, and it's, even though this is kind of annoying to kind of always update and check what's wrong with this time, but it's still slightly faster than exporting the sheets because in some reason in export sheets, the Zoom had no problem like giving the information how they change their names and all that stuff. All right, so just making sure names kind of match. Sometimes there can be, okay, here is like, for example, essay. Probably is a William. So again, I need to um, check who is that. So I'm gonna do as a here, find participant. Okay, it doesn't find match, so I need to do it manually. And that's under contacts. As Williams has noticed you. And that's the wallet owner need. And I'm just gonna check if there are other SAS. See? No others. So highly likely this is that person. Of course there could be a situation where it's not. So yeah, you never know with this stuff. But going back to insert participation, write that here for now. Load that again. Lisa Williams. Let's put that here. And Stefan, let's put that here. Split the minutes. And let's remove 6-minute percent. And this time I'm also going to update I'm going to also put QA here to kind of show that QA could be another participant. I'm going to link account names. So it now recognizes the next time ESE is used, then it suggests ESE Williams. And if QA is used, then it also suggests Stefan Williams. Although probably, yeah, I'm not going to show you. Probably it's what's going to do now next time is that it will suggest either Kylie from Auron or Stefan when QA is there. But it's still better than suggesting than me going through and finding the participants. Either way, it's done. Can import this one. Town hall. Let's get that one. And here it's much easier because people are registering there. We have a new person, Leandro Gavinda. Yep. Which we're gonna do is we're gonna then, oh no, it's suggestion by new. Yeah, okay. So this is new suggestion. I'm gonna link this new suggestion. And this is just again, in future, if same Zoom name, same email is used, then okay, now new email added. So next time it actually recognizes the email. Latam, I will skip. Latam has opted out for being recognized in the Zoom integration for this quarter. R&D Guild, just keep going, join for 3 minutes. It's not really a meeting. And Colleen was there, Arfred, I was there, Vasu Madan was there, but Vasu Madan technically has a very specific name. So let's find that name. What's new? Back here. I put Osmium here, gonna link new suggestions and insert meeting. And finally, one more thing, I'm gonna do manage files. And this is I'm gonna select this one. Right. Yeah. This is an export file from Peter regarding a monthly SimCap call because it's not happening. I kind of added it on top of that one. refresh. This one didn't really remove read AI stuff, so we don't need AI there. Just making sure Yakvani, Ashley, Guillermo, Jeffrey, Peter, Rems, Devo, Lunasork, all the names match. This time it suggests form, but actually this should be monthly syncing call and on 4th August. And insert meeting. All right, there are participants. And now we can see it took me about 20. I started, 15 minutes. I spent here. I imported 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 meetings. And today's date was 07. And yeah, this time for the notes, we had quite many issues here. Because I was in the flow of describing here, didn't really count what's went wrong. Multiple, okay, so ambassador account users were different from usual users. So in several meetings, multiple participants had double minutes. And that's later basically in the report to kind of share what are our issues. But this is generally how I import meetings now. It's still faster compared to every work group doing it manually and individually, and it's still slightly faster depending on how crazy and how much issues we have and recognizing the members and if they change their ambassador name in the call. So yeah, that was this part. Alfred, do you have any questions? Sure,
No, I follow and I understood everything.
Okay. Now, once the participants are imported, we are moving to the next phase, inserting contributions. I have now two things. The old process is that I'm going to delete this file. We don't need it anymore. We have this debug WAF. So I'm doing the GitHub and debug separately. Let's still using the debug export program, which loads all the debug spaces, calculates if they should be, like if there is any task to be downloaded, and has a button to download export files. And in this list, what I look for is fund request and green colors, basically. Marketing Guild has something, so I want to export it. Video workgroup has one task. Writers workgroup one has task. Education, and so on. So I might skip forward now and download all the export files. Once the files are downloaded, I can refresh, you can see they are in my download folder. I move them into my Treasury folder where we can manipulate files. We can see that there are 10 files here. I'm just gonna do a quick count check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, 10. Perfect. I keep this open. What later is gonna happen, we technically should open the debug board and start moving tasks to done. But that's a pretty boring activity and debug is super slow, so I'm not gonna bother waiting for that and show it to you. And it's also good to then, like after I move everything to done, I usually refresh this page and see if everything is 0. However, now moving to the Treasury Manager, and here we simply load all files. And the trigger conf counter, which just calculating when we last exported file. It also counts all kinds of triggers, task level triggers, subgroup calculations, anything that triggers configurations. There are in different places we kind of measure how often we use it, and that also gives us like a good eye on what kind of labels we are using the most often, which workgroups are working, are something getting outdated. So over time, when we regularly, or not regularly, but like once a year check up, we can then standardize our labeling process and also maybe archive some of the projects. As you can see, all of these work were successfully imported, and it also opened us new two white columns because the first step we usually starting with dates. But now with this process, I'm gonna also start demonstrating the document and to also kind of compare what's written in the documentation and what differs from the future, because that's also this work group is only also helps us to improve our documentation, and there has been a lot of changes in the past few months. So we gone through the general stuff, and there are like import data treasury manager. This is okay. This is general heading. We have clear button. This is the button here that will clear all of these, close these columns, and we don't really need to press that. If I do press it, I think it should ask me like, are you sure you want to delete it? And actually I'm not. I don't want because I need to import everything again. We just work with the manage files. It does describe setup configurations. I already had anything set up because I'm doing it every now and then. Import manager features, and this it was describing there's yeah these buttons here, so we can move the files back and forth. We can delete files that we select with this one. You can open the folders. You can open the work stuff. We can load all files. We can load single file, and we can also open Zoom if you want to. Open the work exporter, and this is the page, another page I just showed you where we downloaded the individual files. Didn't have any problems there. And then what I did was this load files button. It describes a bit of how this, if there is like a new workgroup emerging, then it would cut the process and push us into the configuration page and to highlight, okay, this new file, where should it, in which network should it be like put into, and if it has any subgroup, then what kind of group name it should consist of. But we didn't have any new files, so all good here. Then if there would have any errors, duplicate stuff, actually, good point. I check, does it? Yes, it does. So in our case, there was like nothing popped up as a huge red error here. So again, this step is also not needed, but this delete visible rows technically will delete everything that you have filtered in. For example, if I want to remove all AI sandbox, I can just select AI sandbox and delete visible rows, and it will delete only on these rows that are visible. Or vice versa, if I only want AI, work with AI sandbox, not everything else, I can use this delete hidden rows, and that will do the vice versa. Everything that is hidden gets deleted. So the first task, what we have is check task dates. Yeah, it shows this kind of column ribbon, but every time you import it, first kind of assumes you want to start with date checks, so it already opened it up. And I have new feature here that's not described, which called confirm mode on and off. So if I put confirm mode on, what you can do is if you click on a date, it will kind of solidify that this date is not an error, because as you can see, there are yellow warnings, and these are kind of, I check if they're wrong, but they never really go away. So this confirm mode allows it to turn it into green. and then the state info doesn't really trigger, hey, task completed test is bigger and current rate issue because it's not a problem. But right now it's giving a warning. Regardless if it's yellow or white or red, I should still kind of quickly browse through and see what it's trying to say. So here it says date applied from task names. There is standard task names, all good here. These are coming from suggested dates. Yep, because the dates are not on the task itself. The suggested date is debug in review. So whenever you move it into review, that's the date it suggests. And the task creation is when the task was created, but the task date on the debug task itself, if you put the date there, for example, here we can 7th April or 8th. So we never really know which version that is, but it looks like it's on this August and probably makes sense. And yeah, people are using like different formatting. That's what I wanted to say. And that also may trigger like errors. This is that date applied from task name. However, there is no date here, but if you recognize there is a month, so it suggested the last date of month if the month is used. So it is weeks also. So you can use weeks, months, and not quarters that we have found. But there are like specific rules. If it's about content creation or translation, then sometimes the content can have a date or like a month, but then we don't use the month date, but the suggested date. So there are specific nuances. Here again, new formatting rule, but was able to capture it correctly. And then here was this warning. It says the task type is complete, is bigger than current date. It's a week 332 management because we are rewarding bi-weekly. Sometimes fine if people kind of pay themselves at once. That's also possible in the treasury operations and the way we work. That is indeed actually green. Here I don't also see any other problems. And the final suggestion is task completed date is more than 1 month old. So here is an opposite problem. It's too old. But yeah, we can always open the link and see in the work, is it correct? But it's sometimes, yeah, people are having like, you know, paying from backlog. So most likely this is fine. Let's see if the debug has opened up already. No, it has not. And close this. So while that wait, I can consider that the task dates are done. All right, here it's opened up. Created this task 28, but it was July's session. Yeah, maybe let's go even deeper than week 27. I can check week 27 is technically already June, so it might be wrong date. Oh, okay, 3rd July, yeah, I was in June. Yeah, okay, everything is fine. Oh, wait, is it really fine? If it's July, I'm confused. 3rd July should be this. Is it 07? It is. Okay, I was just confused by the month of numbers. Okay, all good here. And let's move on. Oh yeah, and to move on, we check the task. So we check task states and we checked any color coding. I'll even check the white stuff and just to kind of double check them. And if there is errors, then there is also, we have a debug guide, what kind of formats we're using. And second step is to check task association. So I'm gonna press filter, it crunches the columns, and task association is more like a social activity. Or in case if there is like multiple files that trigger the same subgroup, it also gives the warning. But right now we imported only from SingularityNet Ambassador program twork, so yeah, and nobody has told me that they have changed anything with their workgroups. So largely this step is skipped and nothing to be checked there. Then next step is check label suggestions. And this is now the section of task labels. And in here we have three buttons, basically. We have filter with task labels and filter missing task labels. So we start with this filtering with task labels. If you click that, it will filter everything that has already task labels. And here we need to check if they uh, are they correct, or at least seem to be correct. And these are set by our previous automated configurations. But there may be like situation where it triggers in like wrong situations. If the task label is yellow, what it means it's combined from multiple different configurations. And this can happen when the task name has like multiple triggers that trigger different configuration options. Essentially, so I'm gonna check now what's up with all of that. And it also automatically sorts the similar stuff at the top, so we can see portfolio reviews, sound auditing, content creations, crafting stuff, making clip is indeed video editing, operations and communication. Yeah, I could say this is actually, if it says operations, then it should also include operations in the list. So if I want to now update it, what I can do is I select this one. So first I want to know the automation, what happened. So if I show conf, so that's one going to show me where it triggered, because we said communi was in the matching name, then it found this coordination. So going back to insert sheet, what we also want is if it has operations in its name, it should also suggest operations. So go back to show conf, and at the bottom, yeah, move to the bottom and say if anybody says operation, and in our situation, I think it's actually in any kind of call. So anywhere on SingularityNet, any work group, if that happens, suggest operations. Go to insert sheet. And now next time when we load files, it will then update this. But right now manually we need to add operations in. And when we created filter missing or this one, it opens these four buttons here. And while I navigate those, it will suggest the labels that are missing from the left side. So here it's missing documentation, for example. And these label suggestions is another set of configurations that try to kind of guess what are the potential task labels that we could add here. All right, moving on. Seems fine. Documentation, prepare meeting, this operation, coordination, fine. Meeting document. If the name is yellow, that means it's a recurring name and it can be reused, because oftentimes like the names are usually unique. Yeah, okay, so these are facilitation, hosting, everything is facilitating. Teamwork management is operations, Twitter operations, weekly management, documentation, management and operations, reporting, hosting and teamwork. And that's why it's like yellow, facilitating and operations. And the last one, operations, task management, coordination. All right, rest of them seem fine. So now going to the other one, filter missing task labels. So here is we are totally new tasks or we don't know the exact match. dwork follow-up. In some reason, it doesn't suggest operations. Not the problem. I write it down manually. Announcements. Yeah, sounds like community communication or operations. And search engine optimizations. Yep, look, technically they are documentation. And so I'm gonna copy this text here, copy this here. Operations documenter. Here is also documentation. So yeah, both these are fine. Both these are fine. And I don't know why it's in different order. So just put it in the same order and same here. And finally, so because I have these new options here, I can sometimes I skip it, but this time I'm gonna show you this next step. So what I went through was we filtered with task labels, we checked if there is something that we can't want to update. There is again dwork guide. And nowadays we don't actually use dwork PBL. This is a bit more outdated course now. We have a GitHub PBL workgroup which has better and updated task labels for everybody to use. With filtering missing tables, this is what I just did now, and here it describes how the configuration is also, I don't know, it doesn't describe that. But yeah, here I guess it describes how the configuration is used, and now we're gonna add this to conf. So all this missing one, I click it, it will put all of these tasks here, and next time if you have something similar, it will already suggest these things. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna remove the things that may not be repeat, but operations document is something that's probably going to be reused. Reshares, the word reshares might be used again, so then we know that we can allocate it under documentation. Announcements, there might be something that's reused, and dwork. Also, I think if it's reused, then it suggests already automatically operations. Now, if I click filter below table, it will sort it out and delete the missing, the ones that are left empty, it will delete them and only kind of use the ones that we had. Okay, that's this part of configuration, well, task label configurations. Moving to the next one, check task names. So here is a good combo place because we already like missing task labels, missing all these errors are kind of cleared. So what we can do is click refresh return messages. What it does, it goes through all the rows again and checks if there is any more of these errors, and like these missing task label errors will go away. And then we have these clear return messages, and this is the selected rows that you have. It will delete these return messages. And why it's useful is another button here, filter return message. So I click it, it will direct the unique return messages, and then we can see if it's related to task name or not. In this case, we do have ASCII characters in here, which we don't really want to put on chain because task names do go there. I'm gonna remove that gibberish in the middle manually, and then clear return messages because I just fixed that issue. I click that again. Here it says task might have errors and rewards. It's okay. I'm gonna deal with it later. I cleared this one, filter, improve task name to be more specific. Example add date, this date is already registered. So exact name was already used. So what I can do is, because it looks like the thing they are doing recurrently, I'm gonna add this to the frequency list. So whenever dwork/follow-up is used, it will then suggest in future that this is fine. Clear this one, build another one. Okay, all the errors are done. Now just double check. I'm gonna refresh return messages again. see if the errors go away and we only have this one wallet or like reward related error. This task matter errors and rewards, that's the only one. Okay, so this is done, all good, and move to the next step. Yeah, so this is where I described these ones and also like potential errors. We ran into this ASCII character error. Sometimes people use upper commas, they don't like these either. And sometimes, yeah, the task name needs to be in recurring table. So this is the keyword follow-up. So we have these two types of errors this time. And we skip all the unrelated errors. Next up, let's check wallet addresses. Because we have no new like wallet addresses, there is nothing really to check. Everybody is part of ambassador program, which means in the last 2 months or like last 2 weeks, nobody new joined. Or even if they joined, they haven't participated or contributed to the or like contributed to the maybe participated but not contributed to any of the work groups. And because they're not getting any financial rewards, they are not popping up here. And if they're not popping up here, I'm not like registering their accounts to the Swan Treasury Manager. So basically, yeah, this find wallet owners actually is now also yellow button. So always, yeah, notice like the color coding has changed there. So if that step is kind of skipped, then the next one is to register wallet owner. Because there was nothing new to register, we can also skip that step. Then check task rewards is the next one. So here we have bunch of, one thing is we want to manually kind of check if, okay, here is US rewards, here is AGX rewards, and you want to make sure that these are allocated correctly. Usually they are, but if somebody uses dollar like sign, it won't work. Here it suggests that, hey, mins are missing. In here, these cases, it's fine because it's more like an invoice style. They don't really recognize how much time they spend. So that's just only rewards here. Here it suggests 140 USD and AGX. Okay, so this is a bit confusing here, but it's unlikely that somebody is getting 142 USD as a reward, even though it suggested, but zero AGX. So let's do this here, that we're gonna open this and see what they're trying to do. While the debug is loading, let's continue checking the rest of the stuff. 30. And again, minutes missing. Usually it's average $20 per hour in ambassador program, so I'm gonna estimate it on 60 as a standard rate. Here are AGX used, and these ones we are not able to estimate. And here are all fine. Here again, 60, 60. And not able to stuff and halves, tokens. Okay, so we have done our reward check. And let's see if the debug is up. So there is no other information here. However, there is 2 hours allocated to this. So it's average of $40 for this documentation. $40 in Ajax will be times 3, which is 120 so Ajax. So I think what they meant here is 402 Ajax here. As a treasury operator, if you're not clear, we can always also push the task up and like down. What I will then do is just delete it and not reward it. But it's in here, it looks like it's more about AGX rewards. So I'm gonna fix that and it would match with like the current exchange rate and like the time allocated at the standard rate somewhat. So I'm gonna not cause 2 weeks of pain because of that small error and just reward it with 140 for AGX. Right, so that was the check of the task rewards. Yet there was no orange colors here, but sometimes if it pops up, that would mean automated rewards, like standard values. And if I would have wanted to do some task point calculator, I could also use this one to put in either task points, minutes, or gimbal to get like what's the minute stuff. Even though gimbals will no longer use it at the way that we used few years ago. Insert contribution data tables. So now when everything is all good, we want to update them and we have this update contribution button for that. What it does, it also goes through all the rows again, just double checks there is no errors. And if there are, it will give me an error that, hey, are you sure you want to submit it? Do you want to check this line? But if there is nothing stopping it, and there is one error. Okay, let's check it. What is that error? Task might have errors in rewards. Maybe because I have colored it. And let's try again to update contributions. While this is thinking, the next step is to archive work. We have two archive options. One is to archive all files, another one is archive contributions. So because I was using files, this one, and we kind of used all files, we're gonna archive all the files. It will basically create the sheet itself that I just imported. Also, it will timestamp the sheets that I used and archive in the specific folder. So if ever we kind of need to backtrack or know what went wrong, then we always have the original files and the change files to kind of check and see where in the process something went wrong. And archive contributions is basically almost very similar, but it just archives the sheet itself, but there it doesn't go through it doesn't attempt to go through the and find files to archive. Yep, here it has finished. It says everything is okay, so we can now move to archive all files. And then it closes everything now. Before I move to bundle transactions, now this is the new stuff. So this is not written in the sheet itself. So yeah, this needs to be incorporated into the same flow. If I would have used like import. So basically we start the process again, but instead of importing from the export files, we are now importing directly from GitHub. We use API for that. So first it's gonna just browse through all the Ambassador program project boards, and then it will look for all the tasks that either currently it only looks at the lanes or the that you have in the project lanes and see if there's anything audited there. But it's also possible to add a label audited, and everything that is audited will come to here. As you can see, process code treasury, there are some workgroups that are suggesting stuff. So, and also a bunch of warnings. Same process. First we check dates. And what is here? It's suggested, yeah, the month is correct. These are July, everything is July, that's fine. And June, Svarm, Treasury, service fee. This time, the suggested date is the date we add to the task itself. So, I think. Doesn't matter. Anyway, so this is the July, that's fine. This is June, it's fine. There is uh, no month suggestion, but I know, but it's suggesting 28 task completed date is bigger than current date. Okay, so the task completed that it provides here is the date that comes from the GitHub, right? I'm just gonna check. Okay, I cannot, yeah, because now I'm showing the public version and I need to get into the, what was the thing, Treasury Acknowledge Base Workgroup. Get into the private part. Technically, they should all be public, but yeah, and delete that. So what is the one that gives me an error? Knowledge base activities by DevOps sucks. This one, this says 21st August. That is definitely wrong. This is not 21st August. Should have been 21st July is the last thing. And that I think I wanted to say here. Or technically they're all still July's tasks. But yeah, okay, let's just use the last date of the last task or like activity I did. Okay, here is that one. Then onboarding form feedback. Yep, that's recent. Task completed date is bigger than suggested date. But it's July, so it's fine. Okay, so this one, the date sheet section was a bit harder to assess. You can remove this confirm mode now. Here it suggests that this is a swarm activity. The treasury updates in July. What do you mean? Okay, so this is this one, so that's okay. Looks like there is one slow error here. It should suggest Catalyst Farm here, and it is Catalyst Farm Treasury Guild. And the reason why it's not Singular Internet is because Singular Internet is paying for the treasury fee, which you can also actually see for the June one, and all the like development work and all that is like recognized under Swarm itself. Workgroup documentation and July. Let's see what's up with that. That should be the similarity, right? Coordinate quarterly plans, calculate bonus rewards, recreate our progress report. Yeah, so that's treasury automation workgroup. I don't know why it suggested like this. Maybe I had a Swarm tag there. And again, manually check that stuff. So let's open this first one. Projects, automation, workbook documentation. Oh, it didn't. Interesting. Okay, so looks like there are some potential errors that I need to check. But in our case, this is actually, yeah, Singularity Net Treasury Guild here. Okay, next one. So now we're gonna check the task labels again. First one, filtering with task labels. Save mode, documentation, operations, documentations and reporting, invoice and onboarding. Looks good. Filtering missing ones, documentation, operations, and yeah, interesting that they are different. Because that wasn't Treasury Grid, that was Treasury Automation. All right. I'm just gonna filter okay, let's finish that. That's of course tool development, but gonna filter it and see is there any other treasury automation. Okay, there is none. Okay, fine. And yeah, there is an option to add stuff to conf, but no, okay, I need to take then missing test labels, and these ones I want to add to conf. But yeah, I guess never recognizes that because I always change this suggestion to that one. And it may require a bit of code checking to properly assess it. So I assume that I actually have, but this one I don't. So workgroup documentation and support activities is a recurring thing. And I think in any workgroup, if that they have it, then it's the documentation and on operations. So let's include that into the list and move on. All right. Filtering done. Next step was show task labels. No, that's fine. Refresh. Okay, let's refresh. Let's see. No errors, no issues. Let's check this one. Okay, so GitHub names are already matching correctly. No issue here. Then we are moving to the next final step, which is, I'm just wondering, did you already have a GitHub registered? So I'm gonna just check here, update contact. Yes, it does have. Okay, so it's fine. Yeah, AGX errors. Okay, so here you can see these orange ones that are suggesting the AGX rewards because these workgroups are fixed at the AGX rate, not USD rate per time allocated. But here the final stuff is, yeah, this doesn't have any mins. And here are just straight up minutes. We don't reward them separately, except this one. And yeah, because I have to change that, I now need to manually calculate it. But we can already see that 105 minutes is 160 gigs. That's not a problem to calculate. And we can update contributions. This is how we take in the GitHub tasks. Not much different, but yeah, looks like there are some edge cases here. Yeah, and the edge case here is the confusion, I guess, that both different networks have Treasury Guild in their name, and that kind of causes conflict. At least it was able to recognize it, but could be better. So everything is in, but this time I don't have any files, so I hard just the contributions. Okay, that was the big process of insert contributions. Now the final step is to reward them. Any questions so far?
Yeah, my understanding of archive is like you maybe when you are done with the completion of the transaction, but now you haven't done the transaction. So when you archive it, will you still be able to access those information? Or the archive means it's going directly to on-chain transaction. We are going to run the transactions.
So archive means literally like a folder file. So if I open the folder location, and this is our operational board, and we have two archives there. One archive is this one, which is like versioning our system itself, and another file is this import folder. So okay, here it shows all the knowledge base stuff. I can delete that, unnecessary. But before that, there was this any of these download files here. And when I click the archive button, it takes these files from here, it timestamps them and moves them here. So these are the files we downloaded. So by opening it up, you can see this. Like, okay, these T-work tasks, it has this name and audited tags, like all the information that we get from export. And so that we had the raw data in one place. So if somebody complains that, hey, you didn't do this task or something is missing and really wants to dive deep, then I can say that, okay, is in raw file, the task is there. And if it is, then we can check, okay, now I can take that file. So I actually have, when I manage file, I have this new version here, archive insert rows. So I can look like the previous stuff I have like downloaded or like imported in. If I click that, then I see, okay, there was some kind of coordination, social stuff, silly print that I manually took in. Um, so basically it's archiving as a file to folders, and this is the huge list. And yeah, it's archiving also to the other quarters.
Okay, okay, I understand now. Understand. And also the API you are using from, from GitHub to extract information and also from Zoom, they are paid, right? Or is GitHub free? Is Zoom for free?
Well, Zoom does cost per license, but once you buy it, then the API is free. There may be some kind of like how many times you can request it, but so far it hasn't been a problem for us. We are only like managing, I don't know, 10 meetings. I guess we may have to pay more if we are gonna have like 100 plus meetings to recognize, but that's a good demand, I guess. And same for GitHub. Right now, there hasn't been any kind of like errors that we are making too many requests. So, and there is actually room to improve the optimizations because right now I don't, when I import GitHub, what I do is like I first request all the workgroup names and then I go through all the workstreams themselves. But if I start and if I import GitHub again or change something, it will do everything again, even though I maybe only want to import a specific workgroup. So there is room to kind of optimize it to target what you want to import and also maybe optimize in a sense that I save to the memory like recent 1 hour import and assuming there is no changes. So I don't have to call the API and just can use the previous requests. But yeah, right now it's just full on blasting the API directly all the time with everything I want. So, but it hasn't been a problem. So I'm not gonna change it until we have an issue there.
Okay, okay. I wanted even asking, like, when these data are being collected, through the API from Zoom and GitHub, it's coming cleaned already, like it's coming filtered. Like, I wanted asking if you have worked on it, like you have worked on the back end to, make this data come as you want it to be.
Uh, so it kind of is coming as well, we use whatever we get from the GitHub, and then all these configurations we have here that says, okay, if the task name that we import that has Word created lessons, assign documentation or like suggest the Word documentation. However, if we okay, this is defined task label, so it actually applies the documentation task, but only if it's a GitHub PVL workgroup subgroup or the space. So there is that kind of configurations that happen here. Which task can be duplicated is like this one stuff. Folder locations, default group names, what should be applied, a tag suggestion. These are the task name and these are the suggestion parts, that trigger based on names or tags that are assigned to label. And these are like the main automation that happens on top of whatever we get from the API request. But yeah, like now there is far more like capacity to do stuff. So everything you put in here, you create new fields, you create new lanes. We can see everything now. And so if you need something custom, based information, you can integrate it to Treasury Manager. There is, I think in quarter 4, but it's unclear now. But yeah, like the next step right now, okay, I did import it, so I need to manually now start to move all of this stuff to like archive or done or whatever the workgroup policy is, so that I don't import them next time. And that's maybe one step. What we want to do is like, okay, after I have imported everything, everything is okay. I press a button and it automatically moves all the projects here too.
Okay, yeah, I understand. Yeah, we can move on.
I'm actually just gonna finish that so we can close this page and never come back. And even if I forgot something in here, this is when I load it up, it should give me this big error. Hey, you have already imported this task before. Then I usually quickly just delete it and that's it. But it's nice to kind of keep it clean. Alrighty. So the next step is now we have done checking, archiving, create transaction JSON. So the bundle sheet has slightly changed, like the color coding has, and now it has just one big filter button because there are more these options here, which are like accepted statuses, like what kind of statuses we accept. So whenever I imported the information, it automatically assigns recognize to them. Sometimes if we insert participation, you can see that there are on-hold statuses. These are for the work groups that yeah, are paying like later on for the like participation. And then I'm assigning, after I assign rewards, it automatically then puts it confirmed. Then status submitted kind of shows that it's already pushed on chain and over budget is kind of showing, hey, these are tasks not imported but not paid out because they don't have the cash for that or the treasury reserves for that. Yeah, auto filter missing addresses. This is true or false section where basically do you want to see them people who haven't submitted wallet addresses or not? In case true means that we don't really care. If you don't have, if you haven't given us a wallet address, we are not going to deal with it. Then auto filter by group name is that we're just focusing on SingularityNet, right? But there are also Catalyst Swarm mainly that other alternative that we use. That helps to just kind of not filter all the time. I should have pressed refresh button because that may actually take a long time because now it basically goes through all this database we have and yeah, okay, it did not actually take that long at all. And we get all these contributions that have been done. On the top here, these are exchange rates. Right now we're not automatically taking it anywhere. So where I'm going to the coin market cap and checking that today's price is 626. Or maybe 77. ADA and AJX is, let's check that. AJX, not this one, 29 basically. We are indeed under the quarterly average exchange rate. So everybody who is paying their workgroup members in USD rate, they are going to tap into the workgroup reserves. Regardless, now I have assigned these things and there is no warnings, no errors coming up. Nope. This is great. Then we are going to check get totals. Oh, actually, before I do the get totals, let's convert the USD to AJX because we can't have USD payments in Cardano yet. And then get, well, technically we can. We have USD, we can use J, we can use whatever token. But in Ambassador program, we reward people with AJX. And now we get totals. And this is now this new table here on the right side. We can also see that we have 154 different rows, and we basically we're gonna do 3 transactions today because average we can put on one metadata is like 60 contributions. So I'm gonna put give contributors 50. But before I start creating the bundle transactions, let's check on this new table that generates here on the left. And this shows what is the total AGX spent by these work groups. And I can see that R&D Guild is spending like 3,100 AGX. And what I like to do is open the Treasury dashboard and see if they have enough reserves for that. So research and development Guild is here, and they have plenty of rewards, so no problem here. All right, so where was I? So I was checking the numbers, and now I'm just gonna check dashboard how Latam Guild is doing. Is anybody under 2,000? Latam is fine. Nobody's under 2,000. So we know that everything is going for payout this time. And now we have this number I added here, keep contributors. This is going to like reduce this sheet here to 50 contributors or so. So I'm gonna click reduce contributor rows and I'm going to submit bundle transaction for these people. I can't click it. What's happening? I am so, yeah, that's I think an Excel thing. Okay, it's good now. Unsigned transaction has been submitted. And then I'm gonna just filter out submitted and on-chain. And there is some kind of confirmed rewards there. Okay, this is not Latam, this is GitHub PPA workgroup. It's fine. And we are submitting again. Oh no, first because we have, this is 100 contribution, so we reduce contribution rows again to the 51. We submit. This is our second unsigned transaction. We filter again, and this last, where we have left, 44 transactions. So it doesn't always match exactly 50 because it's trying to combine the same named wallets on organize it effectively to save the transaction fees. But yeah, so now the final transaction, gonna submit this one, and this is it, basically. There is one more step to actually pay it out and sign the transaction, but that's a separate process from the Treasury side, and I don't have even access to the payment wallet, so I cannot show you that. But this is it. Once the payments are done, we usually agree that it's gonna be like around 14 UTC, and that the unsigned transactions will be checked in and paid out. And if it's done, then if I load transaction IDs, right now there is nothing. Filter. Then it just lists the transaction ID, and I will then assign the transaction ID to existing contributions. But for now, I'm gonna save the Excel, and that was the full story of Treasury Manager. Yeah, I think this is it. I'm just gonna final check the documentation. So we did the transaction creation. Yeah, there is bunch of stuff has changed here, probably. With like the filtering especially has changed a lot. Reduced contribution rows has remained similar. Then submitted bundle transaction, load transaction, yeah, and finally save and close the file. Okay, that was the end-to-end process to rewarding contributions, recognitions, however you want to call them. Thanks for watching.